Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Before I started, I wanted to go ahead and give credit to a guy that I mentioned a lot on here. One of the best Twitter XRP guys, Stephen Diep, at DIEPSANH. He and his graphic on Twitter from a few days back inspired me to use the graphic I'm using today. So I wanted to give him proper credit there. But what I wanted to go into is today I wanted to talk about how much bigger Ripple and XRP is than people even realize, than even most of you even realize. What Ripple and XRP represent in the digital asset space is far and away, way beyond any of those digital assets that you look at when you look at coin market cap. This has been in the works for 5+ years with some of the most powerful people in the entire world, and there is no other digital asset that is even up in the clouds, even close, in terms of the people that are involved in this operation. And it is a huge operation, and I wanted to go through that. But first, I wanted to go over with some of you a news article that this was going around in the last 24 hours. Now, those of you that are new to Ripple and XRP, I've been in this since around 2013, and there is something that happens. You'll hear it referred to as FUD, but anytime, now when the whole market's going up, you'll see a good bit of it, because usually when the whole market's going up, XRP is doing better than most of them anyway, and so you'll see some of it. But if you ever, anytime that I've seen XRP go up any more than the other digital assets, you will immediately start seeing what's referred to as FUD in the news, and it's commonly referred to as FUD. They pile on, and you immediately start seeing awful articles about Ripple and XRP, and they're all designed to try to scare you. And many of them often come from some of the major financial news arena. And so this particular one is from the Wall Street Journal. So this, it's pretty obvious that the powers that be, 80% return on or actually it was about 100% return last week on XRP. Maybe some of them wanted to drive that price down and get back on in. So this right here, I'm going to tell you what this is about. No, this is Ripple's co-founders token sell-off accelerates. It's so terrifying. Everybody run. It's scary. Jed McCaleb, for those of you that don't know, founded Ripple with Chris Larson. Okay. Well, there was a falling out way back when, and they went their separate ways. Well, Jed McCaleb still had a lot of XRP. Well, he had to the tune of 9 billion. Well, he decided at some point I guess he was threatening to sell a lot of his XRP and dump it on the market, and so they went to court. And what this article, anyway, after they went to court, they came to a settlement back in 2006. And I'll show you that article in a second. Well, the settlement, I mean, if I know anything about the people at Ripple at this point, these guys, they cover all the bases, and they did in this case. Well, this article attempts to scare you in two ways. The first is it tries to scare you in telling you that, oh, he's just dumping left and right. He's dumping all his XRP. And then it goes further down here to tell you that he not only is he dumping his XRP, but he's doing it right here. It says, in other words, each day he moved and sold about 35 times the limit allowed in the 2016 agreement with Ripple. In other words, he's defying court orders. He's just dumping all of his stuff on the market. I want to read you this part to illustrate to you how ridiculous the whole scare tactic is. However, he says in July, Mr. McCaleb was selling 20 to 40,000 XRP a day. However, this is where it gets really scary. However, starting in August, according to a public clearinghouse of token trades, he started selling 499,312 XRP a day, and at one point sold 752,076 a day. Well, I want you to focus in on this. This starting in August, these massive sales, these scary, awful sales. Well, that happened in August, and last week XRP went up 100%. So if Jed McCaleb is so scary, and all of this is so terrifying, and it's so awful, and XRP and Ripple are so awful, and it's such a scary investment because of this, how did we go up 100% last week when this mega powerful evil guy is selling all of this XRP and dumping it on the market? How did we go up 100%? We went up 100% because this article is irrelevant and it doesn't mean anything. That's why we went up 100%. Well, as I told you, I'm going to show you the article from when Ripple went to court with Jed McCaleb and solved this problem. Ripple settles $1 million lawsuit with former executive and founder. So all that you need to know is the bottom down here. Or there's a little bit more here, but bottom line is Jed McCaleb is under a what they referred to as a sale. Let me see. The sale controls is what they call it. The sale controls are tied to daily volume in XRP markets. For the first year, according to Ripple, McCaleb will be unable to sell more than 0.5% of average daily volume for each day of the week, including weekends and holidays. Anyway, it tells you what his limits are. Then it says the results of this settlement agreement show that I fully complied. This is from McCaleb. I fully complied. But then it says, and this is from Ripple, it provides predictability and clarity about distribution of the largest individual holding of XRP in a way that fosters good health and growth in the Ripple ecosystem. And then they go on to say, we think this is a positive development that allows all parties to move forward in final resolution. So I tell you all of that to tell you that the Wall Street Journal, there will be many more. Every time that the price goes up significantly, you see this type of thing, it's par for the course, and it should be expected. I agree with my friend, my Twitter friend at C3Nick. If you don't follow at C3Nick, I tell you all the time, at C3_Nick. He's probably, if he's not the top, he's top 2 or 3 XRP Twitter guys. And he says, what is the problem with Jed selling his XRP? You only worry about this stuff if you are only looking for short-term gains. I'm in it for the long term. I could care less what he does. Everybody should care less what he does because I would take it a step further. I don't think it matters what he does in the short term either. So anyway, enough of that. Okay, now on to why Ripple XRP is much bigger than you think. Everybody's talking about Swell, which is Ripple's annual conference. Swell is going to be done in San Francisco on Monday and Tuesday, October 1st and 2nd next week. This article is about Swell, and at some point you get down here and a guy mentions one of the guys, and he says, I don't know if you realize how big this is. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to briefly go over. Now, I challenge anyone out there, go to CoinMarketCap today, and I just want you to, I don't care which one it is, I don't care what digital asset it is, I want you to find any event that anything bordering on this many people, this many powerful people and connected people that came to one event to speak on behalf of one digital asset. And you can't find it. You cannot find it. You won't find it. And the reason is, not only are these people coming and speaking at Ripple's conference, but they're involved with Ripple on many levels, and many levels that you can't even imagine. And so I just want to read to you the people, just some of the people, and I'll start right here, and then I'm just going to kind of read the list. You already know that Bill Clinton is going to speak, but what you may not have known is that Gene Sperling is on Ripple's board, and Gene Sperling was in the National Economic Council Director, National Economic Advisor under Presidents Clinton and Obama. And you need to ask yourself, what would draw a guy of this level of power to be on the board at a 5-year startup? The answer to that question is pretty obvious to me. But let's go through, these aren't even all the people, but I'm going to name for you some of the people that are going to be at Ripple's Swell event. The head of innovation for Banco Santander, the head of innovation for the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, one of the richest companies in the world, Saudi Arabia, the head of innovation for the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority is going to be at this event. The CIO of Banco Central do Brazil, the CEO of Abu Dubai Global Market, the director of FinTech department at the Securities and Exchange Commission of Thailand, Deputy General Counsel of the IMF. I want to say that again. Deputy General Counsel of the International Monetary Fund is going to be speaking at Ripple's Swell event. That is massive. Massive. I mean, these people control the money of the world. Senior writer for Fortune, SEVP, Chief Technology Officer and Head of Operations, Siam Commercial Bank, CEO of TransferGo, and finally the Head of Business Development for Bittrex. And the reason the Head of Business Development for Bittrex is there because Bittrex is setting up to be a liquidity provider in the United States for XRP, and this is at the core of XRapid. This is Ripple X and XRP are one of the, I would call it, and then I don't think this is even bordering on an exaggeration. This is the most huge startup in the history of the United States, probably the world, because the fact that it's still being referred to as a startup company is almost embarrassing anyway, because let's face it, it's worth billions. And many of you maybe never have thought of this before, but just think about your average startup. Let's say you and I decide to start a website startup, and we're gonna sell wood on our site. Well, what do we do? Just as any startup, we're going to sell wood, and first thing we're going to have to do is get the capital. So a typical startup is going to go and borrow money from a bank, and then they're going to remain in debt probably for 1 to 3 or 4 years. And so our wood selling website startup is going to probably be in debt while we advertise and spend money on various things that new companies have to do. Well, compare that to what Ripple is. Here's a company that started 5 years ago. They are sitting, they're completely debt free. Why would they have any debt? They're sitting on billions of dollars in an asset. Billions. They can literally fund the 5-year startup with billions in capital. The question is, how do they fail? How do you fail as a 5-year startup when you're worth billions as a 5-year startup? It's almost impossible. It's literally almost impossible as compared to the millions of startups in the history of the world. They're at an advantage that probably not one startup in the history of the world has had. It is huge. I am the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. I want you to please subscribe and hit the like button. And also, one thing I'll mention, I told you guys the other day that I do not know anyone at Ripple. Never have met anyone at Ripple. Never even had a conversation with anyone at Ripple. But I talk great about Ripple and XRP anyway because it's coming from the heart. Well, one thing I have not told you is that the digital asset investor even tried to register to go to Swell, and the digital asset investor's application was rejected. Maybe because I put it in the name of the digital asset investor. I don't know. Maybe they didn't take me serious. But I did try to register to go to Swell, and the digital asset investor was rejected. And I'm not mad at anybody. I understand, like I told you the other day, I understand that they have to keep a certain level of separation from the social media arena, probably because they don't ever want anyone to get the impression that they in any way try to influence people to go out and sell for them like that. But the truth is, it wouldn't matter to me if they called me up and cussed me out, because I believe in the company and the product, and that's what matters to me. And I believe that it's going to change my future, and I believe it's going to change many of your futures. And so it's irrelevant to me. I'm not, this isn't a popularity contest to me. I'm in it to win it. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.